Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a very juicy story for you guys. Something scary happened to me at the beginning of this year, and if not for God, I don't know what would have happened. Like, I don't know if I was to be here by now, or if I would have had to leave the country, or like, it was a really scary situation. So today I'm gonna be giving you guys all the deets about that. Make sure you stay tuned. If this is your first time, hi, I'm Prevailor and I make content for prospective international students. I've been an international student for about 8 years now, so I like to share things I've learned over the years and, you know, just share my journey, how things are going over here. So if you like this type of content, please hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, and yeah, let's get right into it. So it all started at the beginning of this year. My OPT ended in February, and when your OPT ends, you have a 60-day grace period to either leave the country or figure out your next move. Basically, either you go back to school or something. Whatever your next move is, you have 60 days to figure that out. So I wanted to get my master's. Before my 60-day period even started, I sent my application for my master's, and based on my calculation, I should have received my admission letter and new I-20 and all of that by the end of my grace period. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So that's where the issue now comes in. Although they had given me admission, my admission letter didn't come in before the grace period ended. It came in like one day after, like literally the next day. So my service record auto-completed on April 15th, and literally the next day they sent my admission letter on April 16th. So that means they had given me, I had already gotten admission prior to that 60-day grace period ending, but they just didn't deliver the letter till after the 15th, and my DSO needed that letter to be able to issue my new I-20. So when the service record was auto-completed and the letter hadn't come in, you had to figure out another way to get that I-20. And based on my research, there were two ways to go about it. You either had to apply for reinstatement since my record had already completed, or I had to leave the country, get a new visa, and then come back with a new I-20. So those were the two options based on my research, and God knows I didn't like any of those options, because one, for reinstatement, it's a very tricky and risky process, because you can apply for reinstatement, you still be going to school and doing things as normal, but you won't get any benefits that F-1 students usually get, like working on campus and things like that. You won't get any of those benefits. And if after they adjudicate your case and they deny you reinstatement, then you have to leave the country like immediately. So I didn't like that option. I didn't like that option. It was too risky. And also another thing, reinstatement takes a long time. It takes months. Usually like USCIS cases, it takes months for them to adjudicate it. Yeah, it was gonna be a long waiting period, and I didn't like that. So the next option would have been leaving the country and coming back on a new visa and I-20. But again, that also comes with its own risk, because if you leave, the consular officer has the right to deny you, like it's at their prerogative to either approve or deny you a new visa. That one is also very risky. Like if they deny you a visa outside the country, then you're basically stuck outside the country until you can get a new visa to come into the country again, losing time and resources, and it's just very stressful. Listen, I didn't want to go that route either. So apparently there was a third option. So when I spoke to my DSO, she told me there was an option to request correction from SCVIS. That was what we decided to do. So she went ahead and requested a correction. They asked me for things like my transcript and other evidence of me completing my bachelor's education. I went ahead and provided all of the evidence they requested. My DSO submitted it, and if you see the way I was praying, I was praying that they will reopen my account and my DSO will be able to issue me a new I-20. I was praying. Those were the three options available, and we went with that third option. And God in His infinite mercy came through, and they approved the correction request, and my DSO was able to issue me a new I-20, and everything was well again. So this process, the correction request took 3 months, 90 whole days for it to get corrected. It was definitely a scary time, but I'll pick that over, like, for example, doing reinstatement or the other option of leaving the country and coming back, because even though it was scary, actually the timeline was shorter, and thankfully God in His infinite mercy made it possible for them to approve the request. To recap, if your service record gets completed, of course, first thing is to talk to your DSO. I would always recommend talk to your DSO. But if you feel like your DSO does not know what he or she is talking about, then you can talk to a lawyer who deals with F1 cases, definitely your DSO or a lawyer. And then based on, you know, your conversations, you can choose what option is best for you. But there are usually 3 ways to go about it. Like I said, one is reinstatement. This one is usually the longest. It takes a long time for them to, like, based on my research anyway, it takes a while for them to adjudicate the case. And then if they, for any reason, deny you the reinstatement, then you have to leave the country immediately. And then the leaving the country and getting a new visa and coming back and a new I-20 as well is the quickest. But again, it's also very risky, because if the consular officer denies you a visa, then you know, you're basically stuck outside the country. Then the third option is correction. This one, you can stay in the country while it's being corrected. And in my experience, it had the shortest timeline. You can pick or choose based on what your situation is and how complicated it is. So the lesson I've definitely learned is, as you're approaching the end of your program or your allocated OPT period, definitely try to think about what your next step is, like 6 months before, and start working on it, so that way you have a backup for your backup. Have a backup for your backup plan. It gives you ample time to get all the documents, anything you need, or take any necessary action or steps that you need to take. That way you're not waiting till the last minute and then becoming stranded, or, you know, panicking and things like that. Like, things could go wrong, things could change, and it could delay, it could impact the timeline and things like that. You definitely want to work way ahead of time. If after your OPT you decide to go back to school, make sure that you are enrolled in your classes for the next program within 5 months of your OPT ending. Not your grace period. Your classes have to be within 5 months of your OPT ending, not your grace period. So for example, in my case, my OPT ended February. That meant I had to be enrolled in classes within 5 months, which was about July. So I had to start in the summer to be able to stay within the guidelines and the rules. So you want to keep that in mind if your next step is starting a new program. That was my experience. It was definitely scary. Honestly, I was like, this is how I'm gonna have to leave. But thank God everything eventually worked out for good, and now I'm doing my master's program. So yeah, that's my way of saying I'm now doing my master's program. So if you have any questions about graduate school in the US, any questions about, you know, what it's like or what will it take to be a grad student in the US, definitely hit me up and I'll let you know. Yeah, thank you guys so much. So this is the first of many videos to come. Make sure you stay tuned, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share, and yeah, I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.